the Yankees hit a new low. It's one of those seasons. And not even one of those seasons, actually. This is like, I don't think we're going to really see a season like this again in terms of just the heartbreaking losses that this team goes through is really amazing. It's incredible. I mean, like, I guess in the last month or so, maybe a little bit more than that, just the amount of just gut punches. And in this 4-game set against Boston, there were 2. The last one, and it's always, a lot of the times, it's that last game of the series as always. So, whenever I record this, it's always on a bad note. But yeah, the bookend games, game 1 and game 4 in this series were 2 of the worst losses of the year. It is the bullpen just completely implodes. And also an Aaron Boone, a lot of these losses have not necessarily been Boone's fault, but oh my God, like both of these were, especially the last one, there was a ton of mistakes that he made, like legitimate, like we can't blame Brian Cashman mistakes, definitely Aaron Boone. I've spoken about Cashman ad nauseum, but Aaron Boone, like he's got to be gone into the season. And I think he will be. I think if they miss the playoffs, I think he will be, and he needs to be. And that's only half the problem, but oh, wow. Alex Cora is a legit manager. Aaron Boone doesn't do shit. Aaron Boone doesn't do anything. I'm not sure people understand that. There's so much inaction. He just sits there. Like, whenever there's a situation for something to be done, or not to be, typically he will err on the side of not doing something. We'll talk about that, but or thinking outside of the box or having any type of feel at all, going with the flow of the game. It's all, a lot of it is pre-planned, and then his fucking press conferences are so fucking annoying. I can't stand them. They fucking frustrate me more than the games. It's amazing. Like, Aaron, you can fucking say that the team isn't like it's always patting them on their back and they'll respond, they'll bounce back like they always have. How have they bounced back? How the fuck have they bounced back at all? They keep on doing the same shit. It's amazing. I mean, I'm just sick of him. Sick of this motherfucker. Get rid of him. Enough. Here we go. In game 1 was coming off of winning, what was it? I guess 4 consecutive. It's so easy to forget. 4 consecutive series. They were 9-3 in their last 12. They had just won 4 in a row. And it would be Jordan Montgomery versus Tanner Houck. Or Tanner Houck, I think is how you pronounce it. And this was a great pitcher's duel. There was a rain delay in this game. I mean, the games, there's so much to talk about in these games, mainly in the first and the fourth. So in the first game here, there's been so many moves over the course of time. Sal Romano was put on the roster. He actually is a local kid, grew up a Yankee fan. He'd been on the Reds, and he would actually come into this game. And Asher Wojciechowski, who had started the game before, was designated for assignment. He'll be in Scranton. And so that was a move that happened before this game. I guess I'll just get to that. Now, some other moves that happened along the way in the series that come to mind. You would have Cortez return. You would have Loizaga return. After this first game, Brooks Kriske would leave the roster, and for good reason. And also Nick Nelson got sent down. Chris Gittens would get hurt in game 3, so he would be placed in the IL. And then the corresponding move for Gittens, it was Gio Urshela. So Gio Urshela came back for the 4th game. So I think I have that covered. So in terms of Judge and Higashioka should be back at some point in the Tampa series, but who knows? I mean, I guess who knows, but sounds like they will be. But anyway, Montgomery was great. Jordan Montgomery. The starting pitching for the Yankees has been really solid, in my opinion. I think most would say going into the season, this is the biggest weakness. I think it's been the biggest strength. Considering the options, I think that the starting pitching has absolutely been the best part of this team. It's been pretty good. And Montgomery really hasn't gotten much run support. But with Montgomery, you can always expect him at worst to keep you in the game. At best, sometimes he does give you some really good performances like this one, and his ERA dropped to below 4. In this division, that's a pretty good ERA to have, 3.96. But the Yankees could not touch Houck at all. um, until the top of the fourth, where Gardner gets leadoff walk, then Stanton walks, so it's first and second. Odor strikes out, but luckily there's a pass ball by Vasquez when Torres was up, and Torres gets an RBI ground out, so that makes it 1-0. Then there's a rain delay in the top of the fifth. But Montgomery comes back. It was about an hour or so rain delay, I guess. It wasn't crazy long, but Montgomery comes back out, pitches a clean bottom of the fifth. Then he pitches he gets 2 outs in the sixth, then Bogart singles. Then they bring in Sal Romano, which at the time, we found it after the game that Montgomery, because I would have left Montgomery in for sure, but apparently he said that his legs were getting heavy, so it's understandable. And they bring Romano in, and he does give up a single to JD Martinez, but then he gets Renfroe to fly out, and then they actually have him pitch the seventh, gets Vasquez to ground out, and then they take him out. And at the time, I would have been fine leaving him in at that point. But with the lefty up in Verdugo and Lucas Licky is definitely more so a higher leverage guy than Romano. But and Licky did not pitch poorly here. It was some of it was some bad luck. Verdugo gets an infield single, but I think it was hit. I don't think it was like a lucky hit from what I recall. But Verdugo gets a single. Dahlback, then he gets a single, makes it first and second. Then Tyler Wade, it's like you can't hit. You got to be able to field, man. You got to be able to play defense. You've been on this team for a long. He's survived this team for a long time. Tyler Wade makes what could have been a double play on Michael Chavis. Nobody's out. So Wade was at third, can't make the play, and so now it's bases loaded, 1 out instead of maybe inning over, or at least he gets 1 out. And then as the Red Sox almost always do, and boy is Kike Hernandez a clutch player, he gets a sac fly to tie it up at 1. So Verdugo scores, it's 1-1. Then actually Devers gets a single infield hit, but really bad base running by Bobby Dahlback, and Torres throws him out at home. So he was on second, and I don't know what he was thinking, but bad base running, a rare mistake by the Red Sox. Then old pal, I say that sarcastically, Adam Ottavino comes in for the 8th in a 1-1 game, and the Yankees would get to him in this game and in this series. LeMahieu would walk, then he would, which is kind of classic Ottavino. Then LeMahieu would still second, also classic Ottavino to let that up. Gardner gets a walk. Then it's an RBI single from Giancarlo Stanton. Big hit for Stanton, who it's been a struggle for him, but he's had some big hits along the way, and that would be one of them. And so that makes it 2-1. And so first and second, no out. And they have Odor, or maybe not they, but Odor bunts. And I wouldn't have done that only because Ottavino was struggling like crazy. You really want to score as many runs as you possibly can. Yes, getting that one extra run. And I mean, you are moving both runners over, but you're kind of playing for that one run. It's a successful bunt, and he gets him over. And then Gleyber Torres does get a sac fly, so it makes it 3-1. So it could have been worse, but I probably, in that situation, maybe wouldn't have had him bunt. And it shouldn't have come back to bite them, but it does. Then here we go. Bottom of the 8th, 3-1. One of my favorite Yankees, I guess is a strong word, but someone who I think was so underappreciated is Luis Sessa. Like, this isn't like me speaking in the moment. I've said it numerous times. Luis Sessa deserves more of a chance. He brings a bit of stability, honestly. And he pitches a 5-pitch 8th inning and gets Bogarts, Martinez, and Renfroe. Basically faces like the heart of the line. I mean, more or less the heart of the lineup. And my thought at that time is, look, like, he should be considered to start the 9th. Keep in mind that in this game, Chad Green was like the only other like guy available. Chapman had pitched a lot. Britton had pitched a lot. Now, some people were complaining, oh, like, let him, like, fuck it, let him pitch 3 days in a row, whatever it would be. I just, those guys, aren't really that trustworthy. They haven't been pitching all that well lately. Like, I'm fine with, but like, start Sessa in the 9th. And if he struggles, then bring Green in to maybe clean it up. Well, no, they don't do that. And I had a legit problem with that. I would have started Sessa. But Chad Green, as he's done this year, and I know when you're a reliever, like, naturally, you're going to remember the bad times more than the good times, but another collapse by Chad Green. Like, this game, to me, it's on Boone. Like, Boone really was bad in the last game, just in terms of strategy and stuff like that. In this game, it's a Boone Green combination. So he gets Vasquez to strike out to start the inning. Great, up by 2. Then Verdugo gets a single. And Verdugo was a pretty big factor in this series when I think about it. He had some big hits along the way. And then on 0-2, he has Bobby Dahlback 0-2. And he gets a single. Come on. 0-2. So that makes it first and second with 1 out. Then Kevin Plawecki pinch hits for Chavis, and it's lines out to left. Green is getting hit hard at this point. Verdugo, Dahlback, Plawecki, but they're 1 out away. First and second, 2 out. And what do you know? Kike Hernandez, 2-run double. Ties it up in the 9th. Just, devastating at that point. With the Yankees riding high, they tie it up. So we go to the 10th. And Matt Barnes is in, and LeMahieu grounds out to Barnes, gets Wade over to third, and then Gardner gets a sac fly, so it's 4-3. So while that was kind of not even exciting, like it was a good thing, I knew they weren't going to win. Like when you get 1 run in the top of the 10th, that's at bare minimum what you can get with the way that the rule works, with the runner on second. Who comes in the bottom of the 10th? Brooks Kriske. And I'm not going to kill Brooks Kriske here. Like, look, it was a joke what he did. He shouldn't have even been in the game. Justin Wilson, who had pitched the night before, was available, and he was warming up after the damage was basically done in the 10th. If he was available, he's a veteran pitcher in this league. I know he's had his struggles, but Wilson, he's been a little better lately. Have him start the inning. Come on. Brooks Kriske should not be in that situation, plain and simple. I know he pitched well the night before, but protecting a 1-run lead in the 10th inning at Fenway Park, what do you think he's going to do? He completely fucking shot the bed. Wild pitches galore. And I think some of that, Rob Brantley's a little bit to blame. Like, I think it's the 4 wild pitches. Like, at least one of them could have been a pass ball, to be fair. But eventually, Devers scores on 2 wild pitches. Then Bogaerts walks. Then he moves to second and third on wild pitches. Then he strikes out JD Martinez. And then for some reason, they don't walk Hunter Renfroe to force the double play. Boom, first pitch sac fly. Like, just that's where you're kind of falling asleep at the wheel kind of thing. Like, let's go here. It was an obvious move to walk. Renfroe's run means nothing at all. Means nothing. Like, literally 0. And it's inaction. It's continued inaction by the Yankees and Aaron Boone. Sac fly, they win it 5-4, another devastating loss. Let's try to breeze through the middle 2 games, especially the second one. Here, plain and simple, it would be Garrett Cole versus Eduardo Rodriguez. Garrett Cole was not efficient pitch-wise in this game, and Rafael Devers got to him as he had at Fenway earlier this year. So Cole, what could have been a stat line that was good, but he just didn't go deep, ends up at the very end becoming a stat line that is, average, certainly. And Eduardo Rodriguez, who the Yankees had trouble hitting, they actually were able to get to him in the second. Sanchez walks, Torres singles, and Brett Gardner gets an RBI double. And Brett Gardner, it's been a bad year for him. But yeah, I feel like in this, he did have some big hits, and they had that sac fly in the first game, gets an RBI double here. He would get another big hit in game 3, so he's been doing some things. But then Eduardo Rodriguez would leave the game. I think they said it might have been migraines. It was a weird situation. It definitely wasn't like a structural injury. And so when he leaves the game, it's second and third, no out, Yankees up 1-0. And this is where the game was lost. Chris Phillips Valdez comes in, Gittin strikes out. Then after a hit by pitch by Lamar, Greg Allen strikes out and DJ LeMahieu strikes out. That's it right there. You had Garrett Cole on the mound with a chance to do something, and they don't get it done. Gittins, Allen, LeMahieu. So that keeps it at 1-0. Then, in the 5th, top of the 5th, Rougned Odor hits a shot to right. A lot of stadiums at Yankee Stadium, it certainly would have been out. And Odor, he's had some moments, and in this series too, he's been one of their clutcher players, Rougned Odor, but just short of the warning track. So Odor threatens for a 2-run homer, doesn't get it. And then the bottom of the 5th, Cole gives up the lead. With 1 out, it's that guy, Kike Hernandez, with a single, then a ground rule double by Duran. And then, of course, what Xander Bogaerts does and this Red Sox team does is gets a sac fly, makes it 1-1, which at that point, okay, not great, but what can you do? And then the big blow happens, and it's a 2-run homer by Rafael Devers, makes it 3-1. Nestor Cortez would come on. He'd pitch a good 6th, but in the 7th, he gets into trouble. And Cortez, with one out, who starts it again? Kike Hernandez gets a single. Duran single. Bogart strikeout. So 2 outs, first and second, and it's a 3-run homer for Rafael Devers. That would make it 6-1. In the top of the ninth, off of Brandon Workman with 2 outs, Stanton single, Odor RBI double. Doesn't matter. But yeah, Red Sox win 6-2. You never want to lose those Garrett Cole games. He had been pitching really well previous to that, and a lot of strikeouts. But you'd expect more. But the Yankees offense, really, again, you're up 1-0, second and third, no out. Rodriguez out of the game, and that second inning they do nothing. To me, that's where the game was lost right then and there. Game three would be between Jameson Taillon and Nathan Eovaldi. Jameson Taillon has been really good. The ERA is down to 4.36, and it had been in the 5s. I mean, I think even maybe in the 6s. I don't know. Certainly like the high 5s for a while. He has been slowly getting better. I like what I've seen from Taillon, and his win-loss record's a very kind of luck-based thing, but it's 6-4. And maybe that speaks to the fact that they've maybe given him some run support, but I think he's really been grinding it out lately and done a good job. So Taillon pitches well here. Eovaldi was shutting the Yankees down totally. This was a rare situation where the Yankees would come back. It was a great win for the Yankees. It was a great win. It was almost like, okay, like you kind of sort of made up for that first game. But then, of course, as we'll talk about in the last game, completely ruined it. Completely ruined it. Like it was like, hold our beer. We'll one up this one. But this was, at the time, a pretty nice Yankee win. And the fielding hurt Taillon. In particular, Rougned Odor and also Florial. So Kike Hernandez gets a triple. Florial kind of misplayed it off that green monster. And then they throw it in, and Odor tries to get Hernandez out of 30, airmails it, and so Hernandez actually scores. So it's a triple, and Hernandez scores on that. So, again, Kike Hernandez was a thorn in the Yankees' side all series long. And then in the second, Taillon also gets into trouble again. Martinez leadoff double. Then Kevin Plawecki RBI double makes it 2-0. Then in the third, a 2-base error by Rougned Odor where Duran reaches, and then it's just fundamentals by the Sox. Bogart's ground out, sac fly Rafael Devers. Bogarts gets Duran over. Devers hits the sac fly, gets him in, makes it 3-0. And it would stay that way until the 8th. And at this point, Eovaldi's still in the game. And Taillon was still, he had pitched 7 innings. He kept this game alive. And the Yankees showed rare resiliency. It would be a Esteban Florial leadoff double. And Florial's been pretty decent at the plate. In the field, it's been kind of a mystery, and his baseball IQ, I think, leaves a lot to be desired, but you can see some talent there, and he gets a big double, but then Brantley pops out and LeMahieu flies out, so you're thinking, okay, nothing's going to happen here, and then the 2-out rally happens. Gardner gets an RBI single, and that makes it 3-1. Eovaldi's out of the game, and then it's Adam Ottavino. Giancarlo Stanton gets a ground rule double, opposite field. Kind of a lucky hit, but hey, if Stanton can make contact off Ottavino, we'll take it. And so now it's second and third, 2 out, and Rougned Odor, again, someone who has been one of the more likable Yankees this season, as crazy as that seems, would get a opposite field 2-run double off of the Green Monster, makes it 3-3, ties it up. But it doesn't stop there. Gleyber Torres, who I felt like he's coming around a bit at the plate. Hopefully it continues. He gets an RBI, another kind of lucky hit. But hey, making contact means something, and hitting the ball the other way does too. He gets an RBI single, makes it 4-3. So bottom of the 8th rolls around, and Jonathan Loáisiga is back, pitching for the first time in a couple weeks. And Loáisiga would get a couple of quick outs, Hernandez and Duran, but then Bogarts, who's just puts up great at bats. Bogarts gets a single, then Devers singles, makes it first and third, but then JD Martinez first pitch swinging flies out. So Loáisiga, it was a good inning at first, and it got a little bit dicey, but he's able to get out of it. And then, I guess I'll talk about it. There was a base running mistake by Rob Brantley in the top of the 9th where, and there was a lot of base running mistakes, like Florial in that first game, I should have mentioned, Florial in the top of the 9th. There was a wild pitch that he should have easily gotten to second on, but didn't, and was thrown out. And then in the top of the 9th here, Brantley forgot how many outs there were. He thought there were 2 outs. So it was a runner on first, 1 out, and LeMahieu flies out, and Brantley just runs and runs and runs, and they get him out at first because he didn't know how many outs there were. Aroldis Chapman comes in the bottom 9th, which is always going to be really nerve-wracking. Chapman comes in, And he gets Verdugo to ground out. He strikes out Plawecki, but then Boston mounts a little bit of a 2-out rally. Renfroe walks as a pinch hitter. Vasquez gets a ground ball double as a pinch hitter. And then it's Kike Hernandez. Kike Hernandez is, like I said, clutch as fuck, certainly against the Yankees. But Chapman does get the strikeout. So Chapman, it was a very unlike Yankee win. And they made sure for everyone to know that, because the next game, they, like I said, they reverted back. This was a nice little 24-hour situation. Or actually, less than that. Way less than that. This was like a good comeback Yankee win. And then you think, all right, like maybe you can split the series. Split it, even with that bad first game, if you split, okay, like could be worse. But game 4. Domingo Germán was fantastic. 7 innings. He had a no-hitter through 7. No-hitter through 7 and 10 strikeouts. He was amazing. Domingo Germán deserved a lot better in this game. And Martin Perez was on the mound for Boston. And, Gio would be back in this one for the first time. Gary Sanchez, by the way, he had some back spasms, so he was out. He left the second game and was out for the third game, but he would catch the fourth game, so he appears to be fine. And then in this one, third inning, it would be a 1-out walk for Allen, a 2-out walk for Stan. So first and second, Rudin Odor, RBI single, makes it 1-0. Big hit for Odor. Fourth inning, leadoff double Torres, sack bunt Gardner, RBI single Urshela off the Green Monster. That's good fundamentals right there. And that makes it 2-0. Then in the 6th, Rudin Odor home run. Again, Odor deserves playing time against lefty. It doesn't matter who it is. Odor should be in the lineup. And that makes it 3-0. Then I guess let's talk about, top of the 7th, they have a chance to tack on more, and Giancarlo, bases loaded, 1 out. They bring in the lefty Josh Taylor because Rios was pitching so poorly for Boston, and Giancarlo Stanton just strikes out on a pitch in the dirt. Could have really used some more runs there. Can't. I mean, Stanton fucks up in that spot. Then in the 7th, Germán strikes out 4 batters because it would be a Duran strikeout, but a Duran strikeout. Then Bogart strikes out, but it's a pass ball by Sanchez. So Bogart reaches, but he still strikes out Devers and Martinez. Impressive stuff for Germán, who had a no-hitter, and his pitch count was at about, I guess 90, give or take. And in the top of the 8th, the Yankees would score. Brandon Workman comes in. It's a triple for Sanchez, his first of the season. And then it's an RBI single for Torres. He's still second, and then Gardner walks. So it's first and second. And Torres, that's his 10th steal. And that's impressive. Torres is not fast. That's impressive that he has 10 steals. But then Glaber does a really bad job getting picked off by Workman on first and second, no out. Come on. You just can't do that. With no outs, what are you, and Urshela at the plate, what are you thinking about, man? Like, the base running on this team continues to be really, really brutal. It's like, it happens, multiple times a series. So Glaber's picked off there. So there goes that opportunity. Bottom of the 8th, Verdugo breaks up the no-hitter, gets a double, and Germán's out of the game. Now, I'm not going to destroy this move. Would I have liked to see Germán stand? I would have, but I understand why he was taken out. The pitch count was high. He hadn't thrown that many pitches in a while. I get it. I don't love it, but I guess I can wrap my brain around it. What I was surprised about was that Jonathan Loáisiga, who I like a lot, I've said that, he hadn't pitched in 2 weeks and had just pitched the day before, but they bring him in, which I found a little bit strange. I figured it would maybe be maybe Green or Britton, I would have thought, but they bring Loáisiga in, which was strange, but okay, it's 4-0. Even if it's not great, it should be okay. No. It was not. Loáisiga did not have it. Double Renfroe, 4-1. RBI single, Vasquez, 4-2. 0-2 count, single for Frenchie Cordero. So it's 4-2. And now at that point, he's hit the minimum. So you can take him out at that point, but they leave him in to face Kike Hernandez. And Loáisiga is a ground ball pitcher, but so is Zach Britton, who was warming up, and Britton's a ground ball pitcher too. Loáisiga clearly did not have it. He probably should not have been in there for the Kike Hernandez at bat. He shouldn't have been. And what does Kike Hernandez do off of Loaisiga? Gets an RBI double, makes it 4-3, second and third, no out. That was like, at that moment, it's like, okay, yep, we're fucked. So 4-3, now he's out. And they bring Zach Britton in the second and third spot. And Zach Britton, you kind of want to bring in a guy who can get strikeouts with second and third, no outs. Like, Zach Britton's like the perfect guy. Like, if you have a force play or you need a double play, you bring Britton in. And Britton ends up actually doing pretty well. But what I will never understand, so Plawecki pinch hits, they had second and shortstop playing back. Why would the infield not be in? Why would the infield not be in? It's second and third, no outs, 4-3. It makes no fucking sense. And Boone even admitted as such after the game. He said, like, look, like, that's debatable. Like, I when I look back on that, like, he kind of admitted he was wrong. It made no sense. And what do you know? Plawecki hits a ground ball that if the infield was in, there'd be no advance. Instead, the run scores from third, and actually the runner from second moves to third. Perfect situation for Boston. And the absolute worst case for the Yankees in terms of, like, you could have actually done something about that. And then Xander Bogaerts is up, and his run means nothing, and they pitch to him. You want to set the force with fucking Britton, and you had the lefty Devers coming up, who's a great hitter, don't get me wrong, but Bogaerts should not have been pitched to. What do you know? He does what he does because he's a great hitter, gets a sac fly, makes it 5-4. Just Boone in this inning, for so many different angles, was lost. Lost. I mean, to not have the infield in and then to not walk Bogaerts just doesn't make any sense. It's stupid. Then in the top of the ninth, Barnes comes in and he got hit pretty hard. Allen lines out. LeMahieu grounds out. And then Stanton singles. They pinch run Wade. He's still second. And Ruben Odor, who has mostly, come through, you can't kill him. He popped out. And that would end it. So Red Sox win the series 3-4. The Yankee nightmare fucking continues. The trade deadline is Friday. It'll be interesting to see what they do, if anything at all. I wouldn't be a buyer, but I don't think they're going to be a seller. So I guess I'm kind of rooting for not a whole hell of a lot to happen. We'll see. 3-game set at Tampa coming up. It'll be Montgomery versus McClanahan. Cortez will be making his first start in a while. It'll be Cortez versus Michael Wacha. And then it'll be Garrett Cole against Luis Patino. Like, the pitching matchups favor the Yanks, but we know that the Trop has been a bit of a house of horrors, although they've cleaned things up a little bit there. But, I mean, they lost 2 out of 3 earlier in the year, and they won 2 out of 3 last time at Tampa. So, it could be worse, I suppose. But, who knows? Again, it's been such a, gut punch is kind of that key phrase, key word, key phrase. So we'll see. Yep. And then they'll be staying in Florida, and they'll play the Marlins this coming weekend. So a little Tampa, Miami situation, trade deadlines on Friday, a lot going on. And yeah, this Yankee nightmare continues.